Hello, my instructions communicating peeps. You will be drawing up an object and creating instructions for said object and then sharing them with someone to see how good you are at communicating with your partner digitally, hence the digital communications part of this program. Hey, all right. So, first thing you're going to do, you're going to use a Google Slide to create an object. Now, on this slide, you're going to create the object, but you're also going to create a Google Doc at the same time explaining what this object is. So, what I am recommending is that you do these simultaneously because it's tough to go back and remember things after you're done. So, the first thing you're going to want to do is create a new Google Doc. Go to our classroom in your Google Drive, into our folder, and create a Google Doc there. And you can title it Instructions Communication. And then you'll also have a slide that you'll create in that same folder and call it Instructions Communication. So you're going to have two files there called the same thing, but they're both going to start with your last name underscore first initial. And they're going to have the same title, but one is going to be a document, a Google Doc, and one's going to be a Google Slide. So two different programs, one same title. So they'll be easy to find, but they'll be separate. You're going to share the instructions, a Google Doc, with your partner, not your picture, not your slide. So you are going to choose from a car, a truck, a train, an airplane, or a bike. One of those 5 options. That's all you have. Do not ask for another one. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. After you choose which object you're going to draw, you're going to create the detailed list of what they need to use, and I'm going to show you those. You're going to give them step-by-step instructions, and then you're going to give them a completed example, but that's not until later after the activity. So the step-by-step instructions is what we're going to work on now. To draw your car, truck, train, plane, or bike, kind of like a movie, but a different movie. Anyway, you're going to use shapes to start with. So shapes are found up top here. If you hover over this up top, you'll see that the highlight thing that drops down. The drop down says shape. So I can click on a shape, and I've got a variety of shapes to use. Now, just because we have 97 different options doesn't mean you have to use each one of those. So you think about what you're drawing, think about the shapes you're going to use, but also think that your partner has to follow your directions. So you don't want to be so complicated that they can't figure it out. So you want to think about sizes of things, locations, dimensions, that kind of stuff, so that they can use them. Now, we have a ruler up here, so you can draw things according to a ruler, but you have to make sure that you tell your partner to turn the ruler on if you're going to use ruler measurements. So there's a ruler on both sides in inches. So this one here looks like from 0 to 5.5 is the slide. And then from 0 to 9.5 is a slide. So we have rulers, so that does help with instructions. So I can say, let's say I want to make something easy. I'm going to make a square, and I can tell them that I want to make it, if I start here lined up with a 6 and I make it about 2 inches wide and about 1 inch high, I can see that that is roughly 2 inches by 1 inch. So that would be something that they could follow. So that's a really good idea. The other thing with like circles is you can do circles and you can tell the same kind of size, and then the diameter and radius of circles, the length of your squares. You can use those terminologies. Think about the terminologies you're going to use when you're communicating to your partner. So once I do this, then boom, I would go and I would create my Google Doc, and I would start put my instructions down there as I'm drawing my object. Next thing I can use is lines. So shapes and lines. Lines are right next to the shapes. There's the shapes. I move over a hair, and there is the lines. Again, I have options with lines. Lines, arrows, elbow connectors, curve connectors, curves, polylines, and scribbles. Now, again, if I use scribble, that's going to be very, very difficult to explain to them what I drew. So I would not use scribbles, not a good idea. So use something, like I said, lines, those are pretty easy to use. I can go with a line and say I'm drawing a line that starts at maybe 6 comma 4 and goes up to say 8 comma 3. So I can give them coordinate points if I know how to do that. You'll notice as I draw things, little lines appear up top here and tell me where I'm drawing from. So that is very good details instructions. And remember, explain that to your partner so that they know what they're following, the directions they're following there. The next thing we can use is the paint bucket fill. Paint bucket fill is it's up here, but it's not there right now because I don't have any objects to fill. So when I do a shape of some sort and I have some kind of weird shape, then I have to select the shape. So when I select this, I've got blue dots around it. And yes, you can modify it, you can stretch it, you can rotate it, but again, that's something you have to explain to your partner that you're doing. So remember what you do and detail it in your instructions. But once I have an object here, now I have the option to fill it. I have a fill color. Again, many choices in my fill colors. So this is where I'm going to have to think about things. Using a gradient, probably not a great idea. But I can say, okay, in the gradient tab, I'm going to go over from the left. I'm going to go 4 columns over and 4 rows down, and it's a light green radial gradient. So that's the title of it. So again, detail that instruction: light green 2 radial gradient. Easy for me to say, and I choose that, and it makes kind of a cool fill to it. So you can be as detailed there as you want, but don't go to a custom color and pick something kind of weird, because there's really no way to instruct that. You get too many details. Sure, we can do some cool drawings in here and design work, but it's hard to communicate that to your partner. The other option, if you do want to go to a custom, is a solid. If you go to custom colors, you'll notice there's numbers up top. So if I choose anything in here that I like this kind of a reddish black color, I can tell them that I'm going to use color number 7D1111FF. And they can put that in and get the same color there. So that would be good, but messing with other stuff gets it kind of different, and be kind of difficult to explain. So keep that in mind when you're making your object. The next thing we can do is line color. Same thing. I don't have line color here until I get a line on there. So if I have a line, or if I have some kind of shape on here, then I can change the line color of these. Right now, this just default is black. I can go and change this border color. It's called the border color, and when we're doing different objects, and I can change that border color to, let's say, like I said, column 3, row 6, and that ends up being a light orange 1. Notice that's different than a light orange 2. So again, number the light orange 1, tell them where it is, and it gives me a real light orange color on there. With some of these line colors or border colors, when I choose a line, let's say I use something that's kind of a light magenta 2, whatever row column that is, it's hard to tell that. So the next thing I can use is our line thickness. So same thing here. If we do have a line or an object, let's say I have an object, and by the way, if I make a circle, I just wanted to show this with circles and squares. If you want to make them proportionate, that's an oval there. If I start dragging a circle and I hold the shift key down, it keeps it proportionate. So it's a nice round circle. Same with the rectangles, it'll keep a nice square. So if you want things that are perfect, hold the shift key down. Again, document that in your instructions. But back to what I was saying with those border colors. So this border color, if I choose a lighter border color and it's kind of hard to see it, I can choose that, and I can go to the next one over, which is the border weight, line thickness, border weight. And I can choose that and tell it, okay, I'm going to use that in 8 pixel. So that's an 8 pixel color. This border here, I can choose this border weight again, choose it as a 2 pixel color. Weight, sorry. And then this one here, the line, then it's actually a line weight. I can do a line weight of a 12 pixel line weight. So we can change different line weights. The fill color also on this, When I go back to fill color, we can make it transparent and just have it see-through. So if I have an object that I want to have something on it, let's say I move that over here, I want to be able to see through the object, I made it transparent. So there's really no fill color. So again, in your instructions, make sure that you're telling it what you're doing there. Moving objects, I can go ahead and select an object and I can use the arrow key to move them slightly versus using the mouse and moving. Sometimes that's easier, especially if you're using a mouse pad, kind of tough sometimes. And then the last thing is our line type. Again, this is another thing that we can use, but can get very confusing. So don't want to use too much, too many difficulties here. So if I have my nice isometrical circle, or using the shift key, making a nice rounded square, and I'm using the shift key, so it's a nice square with rounded corners, then I can go and I can change the line type, or sometimes it's also called a border dash. So it's solid right now. You see it's a solid choice, and I can change it to dots or short dashes or a dash dot dash or dash long dashes or a long dash dot, that kind of thing. So when I choose that, it changes the shape, or the changes the border of those. So different ones you can choose there. So again, a lot of instructions that you're going to keep track of. So as you're going through this and you draw your finished product, make sure that you have your detailed instructions with this project simultaneously, not with it on the sheet, but in a Google Doc. You'll have your instructions. So here I've made my bike. I said start with the circle. It's approximately 1/8 of the size of the slide. So on that, they'd have to kind of divide up the slide into 8 sections and see roughly how big that circle is, with the center points in line with each other. Copy it and place it about the same diameters distance to the side. These are the 2 wheels. Make the circle border weight 12 pixels, and then go on with that. So you can see I would give them instructions, and they would try to draw the same object that I drew. So again, you're not going to show them the picture. You're just going to give them the instructions. They're going to try to draw the object with your instructions. I will allow, when we do this, we'll have your partner, they can respond to you with a question or two, and you can respond with answers, but then you're going to be drawing someone else's drawing. So we're going to have like 3 people involved. You're sending instructions to one person, they're answering the questions from another person, and they're drawing the object that you gave them. So we're going to see how good you can be on providing instructions, and on your Google Doc is what you'll save and be sending that. You're not going to share your picture with them. We're going to do that in the very end. So we'll start with this. And again, as always, if you have any questions, you can email me or ask now, even though a lot of students don't. I will see you on the other end.